Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog.stampwithelaine.com and welcome to today's project. Today I'm making a centerfold easel card. It pops up like that. I'm using the Come Sail Away suite. This is the stamp set called Sailing Home in Cling, and the coordinating dies are called Smooth Sailing dies. Some of the dies will cut out the images like this. The seaweed lighthouse, two sizes of sailing boats, the anchor and a spinner. It also has two dies for labels. This one is rather special. It's a banner, but it's also got embossing incorporated into the die so that the banner looks as though it's been folded. Now the dies are called Stamp and Cut and Emboss because included in the set are also dies which emboss and cut at the same time. So there's 4 of these. There's a long rope, a knotted rope, the compass spinner, and also a ship's wheel. In the suite, the DSP, there are 12 by 12 sheets, 2 each of 6 double-sided designs. There's this one, which are compasses and navigating instruments. One with yachts on it, stripes, a compass, ropes, and a lighthouse. And on the reverse, we have newsprint, more stripes, map, seaweed type one, more stripes. The DSP for the centre easel panel, this has been cut at 1 7/8 inches by 2 5/8 inches. That's 4.8 centimetres by 6.6 centimetres. So you need 2 of those. And for the side panels, which is just the reverse of this DSP, I cut at 1 1/4 inches by 3 7/8 inches. In metric, that will be 3.2 centimetres by 9.8 centimetres. I'm going to be making an identical one to this. So my card base is balmy blue, and it's been cut at 5 7/8 by 8 1/4, which is a European size. In metric, that's 14.85 by 21 centimetres, scored at 10.5 and folded in half. Before I run through the rest of the products that you'll need, let's do a bit of cutting. You need to cut your side panels to create the centre easel mechanism, and you cut that at 1 1/2 inches right down to the score line. So 1 1/2 there. Scoot it along to the 4 3/8 inch mark so you can make a second cut on the opposite side. So then this measures 1 1/2 and that measures 1 1/2. You need a piece of Sahara sand for the card base centre panel here, and that measures 3 inches by 4 1/8. Actually, it's just a tad under 4 1/8 so that it will fit nicely in there into the fold. And in metric, that measures 7.6 by 10.5 centimetres. So that I don't lose this piece, I'm going to glue it to the centre panel first. And you do that before you glue the 2 side panels down. Next, I'm going to glue my side panels. Make sure it's flush with the side of your card here. And do the same for this side. So make sure that is buttered up right into the corner. And use your bone folder just to crease it. Now you need to score the centre panel, so turn it so that it's in portraits mode. Score it at 2 1/16. So that's the measurement between the 1/8 and the 2-inch mark. The other cardstock you need is some mossy meadow for the seaweed and some scraps of Sahara sand, whisper white scrap to stamp your lighthouse, these trinkets, what are they called? Sail away trinkets, and we want a ship's anchor, Night of Navy ink, a sponge dauber, mossy meadow Stampin' Blends combo, Night of Navy and Sahara sand baker's twine that comes with this suite, a 1.5-inch circle punch. I've used a mini brad. These have been retired for my spinner on the compass, so that's optional. You can just either leave it without, or if you do want to put one on, then that's what I use, the retired mini brads. And of course you need a die cutting machine. I'm going to stamp my compass, the anchor, all in Night of Navy ink, lighthouse in whisper white, punch out the compass with a 1.5-inch circle punch. I'll set that aside, and now we've got to do some die cutting. So bring in my magnetic platform. I need to cut some seaweed. So I'll get my magnetic platform base cutting plate, place my cardstock on there, and the die with a cutting edge face down. A piece of rope and my lighthouse. I have done a 101 video on the new dies and comparing the old with the new dies, but for the moment these new dies will still work with your die cutting machine. In fact it will work with any die cutting machine. The only difference is that you might need a shim in order to cut it properly. With these dies, you see how it hugs the image, the stamped image, so there's no need to worry about whether or not it's straight. As long as it hugs the image, you're good to go. So top cutting plate, and I'll run that through the Big Shot off camera. Now I've die cut all my elements, I'm just going to leave that aside while we do the main card. So I need to stamp my sentiment, Night of Navy ink, and I'm going to just stamp it down the bottom here. Next I'm going to bring in my DSP with a sponge dauber. I'm going to ink up the edges of the DSP to give it a bit more definition. Now we can glue these pieces to the card. And next we want to do the easel, so you need to make sure that this is the right way up. So if you do it that way, and this is the other way up. Now you want a double length of baker's twine through your anchor, and it needs to be looped and then you just put some glue dots on the back to anchor it down. Not dimensionals, I've put 3 stacked on top of one another. at the bottom here, and then you just sort of fold it back so it doesn't show. And you might need some more further up the top where the loop is for the thread. More glue dots. Just pop it down on your cardstock so that you can wind the baker's twine round it, and that will anchor it down. You don't want it extending beyond your panel, so that's round about right. Take your Mossy Meadow blender pens, and just where the darker bits are, you can just go over it with your dark blender pen, and with the brush tip on the lighter one, just blend it in. Next you want to put your lighthouse on, but remember only to glue half of it, not all the way up, because otherwise it will interfere with the mechanism. Okay, to glue your seaweed down, and you need to snip a bit off so that it doesn't extend beyond the lighthouse. So I'm just going to snip a bit off here. Throw that away. Apply adhesive on there. Stick that on. And stick this extra bit on. Next, pop dimensionals on your compass, and when you're gluing it on, make sure it doesn't encroach on this bit here, so make sure it's right on the side. If it sticks out to the right, it doesn't matter, but you don't want it sticking into the easel part. Next, just make a little snip there so that you can thread the rope through the anchor, and you want some glue dots again. Now I've put some mini dimensionals on the back of there, and some of them I've had to snip in half. Pop that there, and that finishes the card. This one is without the spinner, and this one has got it. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. Do give me a thumbs up if you like it, and pop back for more inspiration next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.